Hello Eurovision friends, thank you so much for coming to my channel Eurovision Histories. Bog, dragi gledatelji iz Hrvatske, dobrodošli na moj kanal. For this, my video on the Croatian entry for Eurovision 2025, which is Marko Bos njak with Poison Cake. At this point, we might think about opening a Eurovision cafe. We already have Espresso Macchiato, the milkshake man. Now we have Poison Cake. Well, maybe we shouldn't sell Poison Cake at the cafe. Maybe Luan's song will be called Croissant or Quiche Lorraine or something, but it is definitely a trend this year. Anyway, Marko Bos njak won Dora yesterday, and he has very big shoes to fill after Baby Lasagna and Let 3 both managed to come top 10 for Croatia and Eurovision the last 2 years. So in this video, I will be doing what I always do, look at different aspects of the song and performance, giving points from 1 to 5, and then we'll have an overall point total. Then I'll try to predict whether Croatia will be able to make it to the Eurovision final, and if it does, how it will do in the final. And then we'll also have a quick look at your votes and comments from the community tab of my channel. Let's start with the lyrics. I think they are quite creative and I love that part, but they're also very, very dark and kind of a bit too dark for me, for my personal taste. And this part of the video is my own personal subjective opinion, so I'm not trying to be objective here. He sings, "Tingles of poison are hitting your veins." I don't know what the person who he is baking this cake for has done to him, but it must have been horrific. He sings, "I'll add a sprinkle of my sweet revenge on this poison cake." And then you also have the sweeter part, I'll call it, of the song with chocolate, sugar, and spice. It sounds almost like a children's rhyme, but like in a horror movie, the overly sweet can be as terrifying as the dark parts. So it is a bit much. It's about basically killing someone by poisoning them with a cake. He does soften it a little bit towards the end when he sings, "It's not my fault, I got carried away. I lost control when I started to bake." All right, so maybe it was an overreaction, but then he also continues, "A dash of death is bitter to swallow. Don't be scared, you'll be buried tomorrow." So back to the darkness a little bit. I do like that the sweeter part of the song sounds like a children's rhyme. I like the creativity. It's not a topic that we usually have at Eurovision at all, but I think it's a bit much in some places. For example, "Tingles of poison are hitting your veins." That kind of startled me a little bit. And so in the end, I gave 3 out of 5 points for the lyrics. Now for the voice, I think he sings this pretty well. It's not an easy song to sing because there are so many switches within the song, tempo changes, dynamic changes, and obviously also vocal changes. Kudos for the switch between the overly sweet part of the song to the poison cake part of the song, this growl, gruff singing. It's not easy to do that switch, and I think that the switch seems quite natural, at least to me. It does seem a bit off key sometimes, especially in the very long sustained notes that he does towards the end of the song. There is something about it I like. It seems very raw and very real, but it does also seem and sound off key, and he really has to work on that part. And I also think that the poison cake parts have to be even deeper and even more growly, because there's something that is a bit too sweet even in those parts. The contrast has to be bigger, I think. In the end, I gave 3 out of 5 points for the voice. Same thing for the performance. These poison cake parts, I don't quite believe him 100% all the time. Like, I think that he is more himself during these sweeter parts, the chocolate, sugar, and spice parts, than during the poison cake parts. I don't know why, and maybe I'm wrong about that, but it doesn't seem 100% believable that he is this growly, angry guy. Kind of. So maybe there can be a bit of acting lessons as well, which might help with that. But I have to say his artistry shines through, and I'm also very happy that he gets to live his Eurovision dream. He seems to be a huge Eurovision fan, and I'm always happy when one of us gets to represent their country. In the end, I gave 3.5 points for the performance. What I do like about the staging is the camera work, because we do have a lot of close-ups on his face. He just needs to get better at selling the song and the different parts of the song. Now, the staging already has quite a few elements that I like quite a lot. For example, the circle at the beginning, I love the outfit, which makes him seem like Dracula, and the backing dancers are like swivering around him. They're like his minions almost. I really like that. The dancers add a lot of entertainment to this performance as well. I think he could have a better outfit, maybe a bit more color something, because when he had the gold coat during the winner's performance, that added a bit more contrast. That was nice. I like also how the background changes when the vibe of the song changes so dramatically, because you really need something for a disjointed song like this. You need a staging that supports each part of the song. And I think they can still very much improve that part. I think you really have to feel the difference between the poison cake part and this sweeter part. I thought about how to do it. Maybe they can have like a revolving platform or like two rooms. One is a kitchen with very bright colors where they sing the sweeter part. And then the other side is the dark and poison cake part, something like that. Because up until now, the contrast in the staging is just not big enough for me. It needs to look more like a horror movie as well, I think, because that is the vibe they are going for with this, I think. There is one camera angle that works really, really well when they follow him, move in, move out during the poison cake parts. That is really impressive, and we need more stuff like that for the staging. In the end, I gave 3.5 points for the staging. The potential is there. I think they can make this a huge Eurovision staging. Obviously, this is just a national final. They didn't have a great budget probably, and hopefully they can improve for Eurovision. Now, the song, this isn't really my thing 100%. There are kind of three songs in there. You have the poppy part at the beginning, and in the middle, you have this very sweet part that sounds like a children's rhyme, and I really don't like that. It is stuck in my ear. It is incredibly catchy, which is good, but I don't want it to be in my ear, to be honest. And also the poison cake part is very catchy. So he created a song that is catchy. Each part of the song, there are different hooks in the song, and that's always a positive. But for me, the different parts just don't quite come together as a song 100%, especially the last 30 seconds when it's mostly just screaming and poison cake, poison cake, poison cake is just falling apart a little bit into chaos. And I'm just not the biggest fan of these kinds of songs, but I can recognize that it's very catchy, and it isn't a generic structure, we can say that. And I do appreciate that we don't have another pop song in the competition. Some people compare this song to Bambi Thugs' song last year. I don't quite see the connection, but I also had a problem connecting to that song last year, so maybe you are right. In the end, I gave 3 out of 5 points for the song. The song counts 3 times, the staging counts twice, and that gives us an overall point total of 3 out of 5 points for the Croatian entry. I have to say, I struggled quite a bit how to rate this, because this could be the kind of song that could grow on me quite a lot with a great staging, but at the moment it is 3 out of 5 for me. I don't hate it, I don't love it, it's just kind of in the middle for me. But I seem to be very alone with this, because when we look at your votes and your comments from the community tab of my channel, there don't seem to be too many people in the middle or with mixed feelings about this one. Most people either hate it or love the entry, but we'll have a look at that in a minute. Before I tell you my prediction for Croatia, do subscribe to the channel. Only a third of you watching this video are, and if you don't want to miss any of my future videos, you gotta subscribe. Now, for the prediction, let's have a look at the semifinal. Croatia is in. Croatia is in semifinal 1. It is shaping up to be quite a good semifinal. Sweden might have a great song. Estonia has a televote-friendly song already. Belgium is pretty good. I think the Netherlands have a great song. Albania has a great song. And Croatia doesn't have all that much support in here. We have maybe Slovenia, maybe Italy, but otherwise I don't really know who is a natural supporter of Croatia here. And then I also thought, if Portugal actually chooses Henka, which is a bit of a metal song, that might hurt Poison Cake quite a bit, because the problem with Poison Cake, I think, for the Eurovision stage is that it has so many different elements. I like two of the elements, but one of the elements I don't like, the children's rhyme. And that might happen to a lot of people. So in the end, they go with an entry that is more clearly in one lane. And if Portugal has a heavy metal entry, then maybe that might hurt Croatia's chances. The qualification rate in the last couple of years is not all that great, 40%. Obviously, the last 2 years with Let 3 and Baby Lasagna were very successful for Croatia, so maybe they can continue that streak. In the end, I have to say I am completely unsure about this one. Either it works and lots of people get the song and feel a connection to the song, or they don't. It seems to be, as I said, a hate or love entry, which isn't a bad thing in Eurovision, because you cannot vote against an entry, you vote for an entry. However, I'm gonna take the easy way out and say, I don't know. I honestly don't know whether it will qualify. I would completely believe if you told me this will qualify, but I might also believe that it won't. Maybe it depends a bit on the other songs that will be chosen, but at the moment I'm just completely unsure. I think if it does make it to the final in the televote, and that's where you see why I'm unsure, it could be lower top 10 if people get it, or it could be 20th place if people don't get it. I think of Luke Black as well, which had a similar vibe in a way and didn't quite work with the audience and also with the juries. I think for the juries, if the vocal performance stays the way it is and the staging stays the way it is, this would be 12th to 25th. Yeah, not that great in the end. And so my prediction for the final would be 10th to 20th if it does make it to the final. Do let me know in the comments how you predict Croatia's chances to qualify and do well at Eurovision. And now, before I let you go, let's look at your votes and comments from the community tab of my channel. 11% gave this 5 points, 15% 4 points, 31% 3 points, and 43% gave this 1 or 2 points. Now, I do have a lot of followers from Croatia, and I think a lot of people wanted other songs to win, so that might explain the 1 or 2 points. But you kind of see that there is a part of the audience that likes this song and that might pick up the phone and vote for it, and that's really all you need. You don't care how other people feel about your song, because you can't vote against an entry. Let's look at some of your comments as well. DS says, I'm sorry, I can't respect this at all. There are some songs this year I can't vibe with, but I can respect, like Montenegro. This feels cheap and is possibly at the bottom of the pile for me. However, the Mr. Pushy says, this song has so much potential for better staging and the last notes need to sound better. If they elevate staging, this will qualify. I personally really like it and I'm happy they chose him. So you see 2 comments, 2 completely different opinions. Then ESC Hayden says, personally, I don't mind this so much. The chorus is a bit much for my taste, but overall, I find the song more interesting than some of the other entries that were in contention. Then Caden says, going from Baby Lasagna to this is crazy work. Croatia should have really capitalized on the success of last year and chosen another song, but this will end up as one of the worst of the season. So another negative comment. Avril fan, who I think is from Croatia, says, I love it. It was one of our best options. Yes, from Croatia. But people are going to be angry because there were 5 different favorites and dark pop is not everybody's cup of tea. Agree with that. Then we have Dave Blackhill, who says, it's definitely an unpopular opinion, but I love this so much. It's my 3rd place now. It fits my musical taste perfectly. The best choice from Dora's strong lineup. And last but not least, Diego says, Marko is such a charismatic singer. His song is just so funny and I like it. Okay. And then Luke says, what a melange. The Grudge meets baking tutorial with fun staging and a charismatic singer. It feels gritty and unpolished in a good way. Much preferred to 3D printed Einheitsware, so generic pop. Thank you for your comments, for your votes. If you want to participate in that, as I said, you got to subscribe to the channel. Do subscribe, and then I'll see you for my next video. See you then, and bye-bye.